and they both use different expenses, but they're two of the most powerful tools on the internet. You don't need to worry about like Twitter or whatever. I mean, all these, the market reach is still pretty low. Out here in Oakland, we're probably pretty high because we have Silicon Valley. You know, we have tech workers here. But Facebook is actually right around 80% now, and email is only at 84%. So you don't even have a big gap between people who have Facebook and people who have email. Wow. Right. Facebook is almost becoming what email is to the world, and they work a little bit differently. So with email, if you give me an email list and a platform to send them from, I can move the world, Archimedes. The actual quote is like, if you give me a lever and a platform from which to whatever, from I can move the world. But really, email absolutely changes people's perception. It rallies people together. It's a great way to get people to sign petitions or attend rallies or inform them about the campaign, let them know about big issues, inform them. Because remember, we're trying to move people up that ladder of engagement, and you can keep moving them up with those emails. Every time they see one of those emails and they read it, they get a little bit more radicalized about the library, right?
So Patrick, our last campaign, which was a fundraiser, we had...
I mean, the interesting thing about email, number one, people have to opt into it, right? So there are already people who have taken some kind of action on behalf of the library. So there's already somebody who's engaged. You already have them there. Okay? That website that you're talking about, we're going to talk about at the end of this, just because we kind of talked about it in the beginning. It's not one of my slides, but we're going to talk about the kind of websites that political campaigns use that are way more powerful than like a WordPress or whatever else that you're using now. Anyway, so yeah, so getting people onto your email list, all those opportunities that you have for the library side, every time there's a story time, every time there's an after school program, every time there's a Saturday program, adult program, getting people onto those email lists, build that email list as big as you can. Those are people who are already activated, interested up that ladder of engagement. They've already engaged, they've already attended meetings. That doesn't mean they're going to vote for the library, but you can start talking, you can start putting those messages out about how important the library is. You can start sending them emails. You should be sending them between 1 and 2 emails a week, not 3, between 1 and 2 emails a week. People who drop off, that's fine. You don't have to have everybody on your email list. You want the most engaged people, the people who are going to take the most action. That's who you want on your email list. But every opportunity, you should always, if there's like a book sale, any opportunity where people are congregating, if there are sign up clipboards at the reference desk or the front desk so people can sign up. Those are really great. Always when people are getting library cards, all that kind of stuff for the library side. For our side, once again, when we're standing out in front of Safeway, go to Starbucks, doing door-to-door stuff. If you're just out and about in the community, if you have your friends and family and you ask them to join the email list, you need to be doing that as well, okay? Sign-ups on your websites, any opportunity you can. The messages are going to be a little bit different. From the library side, it's going to be about why libraries are important, and then from this side, it's going to be vote yes for. Right. Facebook, so the difference between Facebook and email is that email takes a lot of time to cultivate those lists and cultivate them properly, and Facebook takes money. Facebook is throttled down how many posts you see from pages unless those pages are paying. It's something like 2% or 3%. It's really, really low. Start paying for those ads now and early so that later on you don't have to tell those messages during the campaign. Once again, we're servicing, we're trying to get the message out about how important libraries are, telling the story of the library. Putting those posts up on Facebook, just throwing $100 on it helps your reach usually between 15 and 20,000 people, right? $100, you can reach 15 to 20,000 people. There's no cheaper way to do it, and it's highly effective. And it's just as effective as email. You have your click-through rates are about the same. Your read rates are about the same. Facebook is extremely important in using those both. Twitter, also the thing with Twitter is that if you post in the morning, if you post at 9 a.m. and somebody has a bunch of people that they're following by 9:02, you're going to be so far down their feed that they're never going to see it. So that's also my big problem with Twitter. I'm not saying don't do it there. Use all those other social media, but those are the two that you want to invest your time and money in. Also, Facebook, you're reaching all the people who aren't on your email list, right? You have your email list, you're reaching those people. Facebook reaches everybody else. There's really great, I'm getting really into the weeds here, but there's really great third-party data groups. One's called Axiom that you can actually put the voter list in, so only voters see your Facebook ads. It's really effective stuff. Okay. Other media, paid and earned. Who knows the difference between paid media and earned media?
Donald Trump certainly does.
Donald Trump certainly does, yeah. Donald Trump, the entire campaign is earned media. He says ridiculous stuff. He gets on the news, right? We don't really want to do it kind of the same. We don't want to do it the same way, but we do want to do earned media where we're doing things to earn the media's attention, right? So if you hold a rally, making sure that you send out a press release so the press shows up. They want some kind of urgency. They want a relationship with you. They want to know what the library is doing. Give them those opportunities, those senses of urgency, those things that are timely, important. They're not just going to show up for like a story time or something that happens all the time, but like a one-time event or something big. Making sure that you earn that media. Paid media is putting an ad in the newspaper or paying for Facebook ads or whatever like that. Okay. Building events. Events are extremely important. How many of you have ever attended like a house party for a political candidate? Okay. Those house parties for political candidates, there's no reason why you can't start doing them now. House party for the library. Start getting people together, get their email address, their name, their address, ask them if they want to volunteer, donate, whatever. But building those events, holding rallies at the local bar or restaurants or those kinds of stuff. Save Oakland PL did a bunch of those really great stuff, like the zombie walk and other stuff like that got that. Do the zombie walk, once again, don't forget people to get their name, address, email address, phone number, and engage them again a week later and a week later and a week later. Okay? Keep engaging those people. Face-to-face is the most important way we talked about, is the most important thing you can do to engage the voters. Sending them emails is effective, sending Facebook messages is effective, but the most effective way is to meet them face-to-face. We kind of talked about that in the very beginning. We said people's relationship to the librarians and the library staff. That's kind of how you're doing it, right? Getting the librarians out in front of Starbucks or Safeway and talking about the library, or showing up at those Chamber of Commerce meetings, Rotary Club, Elks Club, whatever. Showing up at those meetings is really, really important. Showing up PTA. Once the campaign is going, you're going to have to go door to door. You have to knock on some doors. You have to talk to some people, get out there face to face, meet them where they are. Don't wait for them to come to you. It's not going to happen. People aren't going to do anything for this campaign unless you ask them to, right? They're not going to just show up out of nowhere unless you ask them to. You're not going to get $1 million donation for your campaign unless you ask for it. You're not going to get a $5 donation to your campaign unless you ask for it. You have to ask for people to volunteer, to donate, to take part. You have to ask them every opportunity you possibly can. That was my last slide, but do we have time for one more quick thing real fast? Okay. So Jerry kind of brought up the website. So there are these really powerful political action platforms. We have ours at action.everylibrary.org. If you go to action.everylibrary.org, it's where you can sign petitions, where you can hear about our events, where you can make donations, where you can do just about all those activities and find it all in one place. But what's really powerful about it is every time somebody interacts with your database, or they interact with your Facebook page, or even your Twitter page, it pulls all that data into one thing and builds a profile around that one person. So if you get their email address, it builds a profile around their email address, pulls in data about their Facebook and their Twitter, and it keeps track of how many times you've communicated with them, what you've said to them, how you said it to them, and you can fill out their level of support. So when you go like door to door and you knock on their door and say, "Are you going to vote yes, no, or maybe?" and they tell you, you can mark it on their name, on their profile, so you don't have to go through all your papers or your Excel spreadsheets. But then you also find out if they attended an event, or they volunteered, or they donated, so you know where they are. Each individual person is extremely powerful. We built ours on a platform called Nation Builder. Nation Builder is incredibly cheap. You can send out all your mass emails through, just like MailChimp or Constant Contact. You can schedule your Facebook and your Twitter posts, just like Hootsuite. You can do basically everything your campaign needs to do in one digital platform. I highly recommend checking out. I would love to see libraries actually start using it as their base for their websites. But Nation Builder, if you guys want to talk about that in a lot more depth, I totally can. Who's ever interested in that kind of stuff. So that's actually the last thing I have. Does anybody have questions? Yeah.
Do you have any advice about the difference in messaging between responding to a crisis or promoting something based on sort of a positive? So for instance, when we passed 2004, half of the libraries had just been under threat for closure. And so I think there was a real big public response to that threat. I think now we're in a situation where when we even talk about Save Our Libraries, people will ask, well, are any threatened to be closed right now?
Right.
And they seem to be a little less motivated in making things better based
Right.
where they are now, as opposed to responding to losing something.
Right, and that's where you start building this communicated need stuff, right? Having that list open and available of like all the stuff that needs to get done in the libraries. And we're talking about $50 million and things need to be fixed in the libraries, and we're getting $3 million or whatever, you know? Talking about if you guys have asbestos in the walls or lead paint, I mean, those kinds of things work too. You know, but also talking about what you can do more. It's a little bit more of a push, and it's going to take a lot more money and a lot more time to move people up when you're saying like, well, we can do this, all this extra stuff, right? People always respond to a crisis. That's why the force worked when we raised all that money real quickly, because there was a crisis. But spending time communicating all those needs, you know, brochures or whatever you can to get that message out. Yeah.
On the communication need, our chairperson, Ms. Trevette, she wants us to really get in front of the city council on issues. And that 1 minute that we have, what are the most salient points